Welcome to the Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded podcast. I am your host, Ness Jones, and we'll be deep diving into all things separation anxiety. But before we get started, please make sure you like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another one. And don't forget, if you are interested in joining my easy step-by-step training program to resolve separation anxiety in your dog, you'll find the link in the show notes. Now let's get started. Did you know that your dog's health can impact how well they do when you leave? So, for example, a really good case in point is I've had several clients been going through a training program with me, been doing really well, and suddenly the dog just doesn't anymore, and we're not really sure why. So what we can do then is try to delve down into figuring out what that why is. And one of the things that can really impact your dog's ability to feel comfortable when you walk out the door is its health. I've had several clients where allergy season hits and they've literally gone backwards because the dog just can't cope with being by themselves. And once they've got on top of that, the dog's gone back to normal and the training has progressed. So things that can really impact your dog would be allergies. For one, several occasions I've seen this with clients that they've gone, as I said, they've gone backwards because the dog just can't cope. But pain, so any kind of arthritic pain or any kind of pain is going to, could potentially, I should say it's not necessarily going to, it's not a foregone conclusion, but it's one of the things we do need to look at. If the dog is in pain, is that going to mean that they're going to struggle more when you walk out the door if you're doing training with them? Other things, gastro issues, anything that's going on in the gut and the stomach where they're feeling uncomfortable. Think about this. Well, we don't know when our dogs have got a headache, but we know that we get headaches. So it's probably a good chance that your dog gets headaches as well. And if you've got a really, really bad headache, you don't cope with life as well as you might if you didn't have a really bad headache. You can get grumpy, you can get agitated, irritated, you can get clingy. And if we look at a dog and say, well, dogs are kind of like children. If you've got a sick child, they probably want to cling to mum a little bit more. So we may see if a dog is going through some health crisis, we may see that dog cling to mum or their primary caregiver a bit more. So if you look at it like that, I think it really makes sense that they don't do as well under those circumstances. So it's always a really good idea to get a vet check and try to find out what might be going on. And look, you don't always know. It can be hidden things going on that you've got no idea about. Like I said, you would not have a clue if your dog has got a headache, except that they might be acting slightly differently. Or if they've got something going on internally, they can't tell us they've got a tummy ache. If only they could talk. Although I'm not sure I'd want my dogs to talk because they'd probably be saying, take me out, take me out, take me out. But you just went out. No, we want to go out again. But I think that's why vet checks are always very, very important. So I think it's really important to say if the dog is struggling with something in terms of pain, then we have to get on top of that. And as I said, several times I've had clients that were doing really, really well. Then they hit a health crisis and they started going backwards. We also have to be aware that a senior dog is going to be having a lot more medical, or could potentially, I should say, potentially have a lot more medical issues than a dog that is younger and healthier. So they could have cognitive decline. That can certainly impact them for home alone time. They may have pain in terms of arthritic conditions, all those sort of things that we get or the creaks and groans we get as we get older. It could be that they've got their eyesight's going, they can't see as well, that can make them uncomfortable, or the hearing loss as well can also upset the apple cart. So I think it's really important to have those vet checks and rule out medical issues so that we can say, okay, yes, we're aware that this is going on. what can we do about it? And look, I like to take a holistic approach. So I'm not necessarily saying pump them full of chemicals. For example, my dogs when we moved into this home, we had really bad allergies. I mean, they were shocking. I don't know why. I think they had sprayed weeds out in the back or something. There was something in the environment that the dogs reacted to really, really badly and for quite some time. So one of them looked like she had mange. It was that bad. Her brother had scabs all over him because he couldn't stop scratching, and the mum had fur missing off her ears, and it was just horrible for them. They were so uncomfortable. And I took them to the vets because I couldn't get on top of it, and they had to have medication, which I know isn't very good for them. This particular medication, I won't mention what it is. And I didn't like giving it to them, but it really was something I had to do. I could not give it to them. Once I got on top of that, I don't give it to them now. I look at natural remedies, and they've never been as bad as what they were when we first moved in. So I try to take that holistic approach where possible. But there are times you do need, first of all, you need a diagnosis. So you need a vet for that, because you shouldn't be diagnosing things off Dr. Google. But thereafter, you can maybe question, do I need a prescribed medication to tackle this? Or perhaps I can tackle it naturally. So that could involve a holistic vet. It could involve a doggy naturopath. You can look at it in different ways, whatever you feel is the most appropriate for your situation and your dog. But yeah, where possible, I do try to look at other alternatives to straight up medication. And often tackling the gut is a good place to start, because we know allergies start in the gut. For example, if there's a gastro issue, we need to tackle what's happening in the gut. And that doesn't necessarily mean medical intervention. It could be adding things to the diet like Green Tribe, which has probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes. So it's good stuff. Plus I feed raw. That's kind of an aside, but I'm just trying to make a point that while we still need the vet, we still need to get the diagnosis. Thereafter, maybe we can take a more natural remedy, a natural approach, I should say, to tackling the situation. Or maybe they need medical support for a short time, and then you can phase that out and add a more natural supplement. But looking at taking that holistic approach is important for me. As a small animal naturopath as well. But as long as you're aware, if your dog is struggling with home alone time, just make sure you're aware there's nothing going on. Make sure you know for sure that there's nothing internal, or there's not pain that you're not aware of. And that's why we have to go and see a vet. By the way, if you have a question you would like me to answer on this podcast, feel free to send them in at hello@nessjones.com. That's hello@nessjones.com. And just put listener question in the subject line so I can file it into that section of my computer, and I will get to it in due course. But feel free to reach out and ask a question. You have been listening to Ness Jones on the Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded podcast. Don't forget to check out the show notes to learn more about my programs and how I can help you with tailored training. Until next time.